Boy, that has some volume tonight. Look out, huh? Feel free to grab something to drink. We are going to have our keynote speaker this evening before dinner. And it is a great pleasure that we have a mentor of mine, not only a gentleman, but one of the outstanding business leaders in the country here with us tonight. Howard Brodsky started in a place that we're all going to recognize, in a small business trying to take a local ownership small business and grow it very large by cooperating with others. We're going to start off with a video, and then Howard's going to come up and share his story with you. And as he does, I want you to think about what someone yesterday said. They feel like they're on the ground floor with this ROC movement. And so as you listen to Howard speak, think about what we all together could make this and where we're going. So without further comment, can we play the video?
Growing up in Manchester, New Hampshire, Howard Brodsky excelled in both school and sports. He especially loved basketball and football, and was even a Division I All-State football player in high school. When Howard was only 13 years old, his father passed away. He credits his mother with inspiring him with her strength, humor, and love, and instilling in him a positive attitude. He is similarly inspired by his two sons, Jeff and Greg, whom he loves and respects greatly. Alan Greenberg was raised in University City, Missouri, where he enjoyed playing baseball and many other sports, and loved to build things like Pinewood derby cars and train sets. Even as a child, he had a quick wit and loved to play practical jokes on people. In third grade, Alan often chased a beautiful girl named Sharon Pollock home from school to try and kiss her. He continued to pursue his dream girl even after she sicked her dog on him. His persistence paid off when the two were married in 1966. A year later, their son Todd was born, followed by Darcy in 1970. Both Howard and Alan had similar early career experiences, joining their families' floor covering businesses after graduating from college and graduate school. Each helped grow their respective businesses substantially. Also, both men served as founders and president and chairman of the American Floor Covering Association. It was here that the two met.
Al and I both grew up in family businesses. My mother was a pharmacist, and I saw all her friends. They all lost their businesses, one by one. And not because they weren't smart, not because they didn't care, because they didn't have the scale and the availability to do what the big guys did. There's great pride, connectivity to the community, the family, and we didn't want to see that lost.
We developed a really very, very close personal relationship. And then we started to sort of speculate with what ifs. What if we did more things together? And lo and behold, we struck up with the idea of forming a cooperative of getting retailers to come together.
Thus, in 1984, they created the Carpet Co-op of America to help independent carpet retailers operate in an increasingly competitive marketplace. What made this enterprise so revolutionary is that it wasn't just a buying organization, but rather a holistic approach into the members' entire business, including operating systems, training programs, marketing, merchandising, and buying. This had never been done before. Needless to say, it was incredibly successful. Within 1 year, Carpet One Floor and Home was established with 13 members. Under Howard and Alan's leadership, it quickly became the top floor covering retail group in the nation.
By leveraging our power, knowledge, resources, and experience of a relatively small initial group, all of us were not only able to survive, but we began to thrive.
But it wasn't always easy. Early on, major carpet manufacturers refused to sell to the co-op, and both Howard and Allen had to risk their stores and invest personal resources to bankroll the venture. They persevered, however, and ultimately convinced the carpet mills that selling to Carpet One would mean larger sales and future expansion for the mills. Over the next 10 years, the co-op experienced exponential growth, reaching beyond North America to include businesses in New Zealand and Australia. By this time, Howard and Allen were well aware that they had created a flexible, winning business model that could work for other retail and service industries. With this in mind, they reached beyond the flooring industry to include companies in lighting, mortgage banking, bicycling, and the newest endeavor, reaching out and supporting the nonprofit sector. In 2001, Carpet Co-op of America changed its name to CCA Global Partners to reflect its broadened scope. Today, CCA Global is a multi-billion-dollar business with 15 companies in 4 countries that demonstrates how independent businesses can achieve scale through their cooperatives and compete with the large chains. All of this without sacrificing the valued service of a locally owned business.
The independent and the individual entrepreneur still maintains his strength, his individuality, his connection to the community. And what we really try to do is bring the tools that are needed to enhance their greatness.
In addition, both men recognized the importance of being responsible corporate citizens. One example is their literacy efforts, which included CCA's donations of books, library makeovers, and school literacy programs. The Magic Carpet Time Tour, a traveling program promoting the joy of reading, has reached over 225,000 students across North America. And CCA was the first company to take a corporate initiative on USA Weekend Magazine's National Make a Difference Day by completing library and media center makeovers worth over $250,000 at local elementary schools. In August 2007, the CCA Global community suffered a great loss when Allen passed away after a courageous battle with cancer. The charity golf tournament he initiated in 2003 has since been renamed the Allen Greenberg Golf Tournament, and to date has raised over $700,000 for the Floor Covering Industry Foundation, which helps those within their industry during times of need. Part of what led to CCA's success was undoubtedly the connection between its 2 co-founders. Howard and Allen were not only business partners, but also incredibly close friends. In all of the years working together, they actually never missed a day talking with each other. They were passionate about what they were doing, and they were passionate about their friendship. This commitment is reflected every day by what CCA Global does for independent business owners and their customers. Howard Brodsky and Allen Greenberg are cooperative pioneers. Their shared dream to empower and enrich the lives of entrepreneurs is what led them to build one of the largest cooperatives in the United States, CCA Global Partners. This visionary business model allows independent business owners to thrive using cooperative strategies. For this, we recognize Howard Brodsky and Allen Greenberg with induction into the Cooperative Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. That was one of my proudest moments, and Paul just got inducted this past year, which I was thrilled to be there in Washington to see him inducted. And Paul, you are probably one of the youngest ever being inducted. Now, really, if you look at most, it's at the end, but you have your career is blooming and blossoming, so congratulations to you for everything you've accomplished, Paul. And I appreciate the time and opportunity to be here today. Let me see if our click is right. As we, let's see if we get that there. So this is, I did grow up right here in Manchester. My family moved here when I was 5 years old. That's a picture with my brother and sister. And when I was 5 years old, I had a dream of being the Lone Ranger. That was a television program, and I loved it. For those that can remember, the young people don't remember, but some others here maybe can. And let me, what, it didn't, let me back up here. Say again. How's it going? Is it going by itself? I don't know. Let me see here. Back up. Back up. I don't know how it's doing. I didn't even touch it. But, all right. No, it's going the wrong way. Just go back. So, yeah, okay. No. After many years, I realized that being the Lone Ranger actually is not being successful. That it's about being together, being cooperative, and together it's a model that I believe in. You know, you are stronger together for so many different reasons. And as the video showed, my father came over, was a Russian immigrant, actually, and his dream was to have a family business. And he came to Manchester to open the family business. I was born in Lawrence, Mass., and he thought that I had an aunt lived in Manchester, and he said, well, I think New Hampshire is going to be a better place to be. And he opened a small floor covering store called Dean's on Elm Street in Manchester. And he passed away, as the video said, he passed away when I was very young, 13. It was a small company. It was only 2 employees. But I saw the pride and the belief he had and how proud he was to have a family business that he started. And I told my mother that that's what I wanted to do. So at the age of 13, my mother listened to a 13-year-old child, and I don't know how or why. And until I got out of college, my mother went back. So my mother was a pharmacist. And as I said, I saw so many of her friends that had pharmacies, they went out of business. And they went out of business because they just couldn't compete. It wasn't a level playing field. And when Al and I knew each other from starting the National Trade Association, after about 5 or 6 years, we looked around and we saw the big chains getting bigger, the Home Depots and the Lowe's and national chains. And we said, you know, if we don't do something, we're going to be like everybody else. We're going to be by the side. And we had no idea what a cooperative was. Had no idea. And there was a close friend of ours who said, you know, I think there was True Value hardware stores, which still are. And they said, I have a friend that's the CEO of True Value hardware stores. He was in Butler, Pennsylvania, Larry Zephas. And he said, I think you should go down and meet with him. And we went, spent the day down there, and we walked out of there and we said, we're going to start a cooperative. And that was the beginning. We took 13 people of our closest friends in a room, and we showed them conceptually what we were going to do. And originally our goal was to have 225 stores across America, which was a huge goal. And after about 2.5, 3 years, we had like 175 stores. And Al and I turned to each other and said, why did we say 225? We said, we don't know. And so we went into a Cadillac dealership, this was 30 years ago. And Cadillac was there was the brand. I mean, Mercedes wasn't very active, and some of the, Cadillac was the brand. And there were a lot of Chevy dealers, not many Cadillac. We walked in a Cadillac dealership, and we said, how many stores do you have in the country? And they said, we have 1,000 locations. Al and I walked out and we said, we're going to have 1,000 locations. That was our market research. We didn't have, we figured they did all the work. We didn't have to do the work. So today, CCA Global Partners has 15 different companies where we have bike stores, we have ski stores, we have lighting stores. We have childcare centers. Actually, we have over 11,000 childcare centers in 29 states. And the common thread is they're all family businesses. Every one of them is a family business. And during the recession, it was interesting. In most of our businesses, because we had a lot that were very related to the home industry, 25% during the recession, 1 out of every 4 companies in the industries we're involved with went out of business. The members that were part of our co-op, the family business were part, we lost 1%, not 25%. So you talk about the power of the group. and the power of being together and sticking together and believing each other, it's real. It's not something just on paper. And, you know, to this day, we're now a fairly large company. We're a $12 billion company. But people, you know, I had a CEO of a hospital came in recently, I'm on the board of, and he was talking to me, he said, so Howard, you know, I'm amazed at your company. And he said, you know, what percentage do you own? Well, I said, I don't own any of it. He said, well, no, I'm not saying what percentage of the individual companies you own. What percentage of CCA do you own? He said, you started it, right? I said, yes. And he said, you're the chairman and CEO? I said, yes. He said, well, no, what percentage do you own? And I said, I don't own a single share. I said, the members own the share. And he looked at me, he said, I never knew that. I said, I wake up every day proud that the members own it. And, you know, to this day, Paul doesn't own a share. Nobody in ROC owns a share. And to me, it's the most beautiful democratic method that ever existed as a cooperative. It is, nobody's in it for any other reason to make each other better. There's no other reason. There's no secret thing that somebody has going to get wealthy by selling this or doing this. Just like Paul and the staff and the group with ROC and like the members that are part of CCA, we do it to bring out the best in everybody else, to lift everybody up. It's not about lifting one person up. And let me see if this works. And it doesn't look like we're working here. Oh, so it doesn't seem to be going forward. Well, I'm going to let you. They say when you get older, you start looking like how you were younger. You know, you knew. I might have a cowboy outfit soon. Okay, so that was just Alan and I. This is. Let's see. Why isn't it going? Well, doesn't seem to be going. Okay, next. I'll just say next. So those are the companies. Next. You can just stay right there. Don't move. Next slide. Yeah, don't. So Innovia is a part of CCA Global Partners, and Innovia, I think some people spoke, Haley, I think Innovia is a community management association. It's all of community managers across the country that do what ROC does. So it's a fairly new organization. I think we now have 34 members across the United States, but have almost 900,000 units out of 34 members. So it is growing. We're excited about it. And I think, like everything else, we can provide scale, you can provide scale to do what you can't do individually. So we're all part of something bigger. And let me see if we can get the next slide. Because I think the next, if we can do that. So this is, I think this is a very important element of what's the difference between a corporation and a cooperative. Well, a corporation, they're interested in one thing. If you look, everything's about quarterly profits. I mean, that's all they talk about is quarterly profits. And a cooperative is interested in long-term results. You know, Paul doesn't decide today because of something the stock market's going to do in 90 days, and neither do we. In a corporation, it's all about profit to shareholders. You know, if you don't deliver the profits, the CEO is out. You know, and in a cooperative, it's distributed profit among all its members. It doesn't go anywhere else. It doesn't go to me. It doesn't go to Paul. It goes to its members where it belongs. And in a corporation, it's all about return on investment. In a cooperative, it's about employee and member culture. And in a corporation, it's about asset turnover. In a cooperative, it's about community development. In a corporation, it's about future profit. That's all they want, driving future profit. In a cooperative, it's about shared equitable growth. It's what's good for all of us, not what's good for a few of us. And in a corporation, it's about investor relations. And in a cooperative, the way it should be, it's democratic control. Every member has one vote. Somebody doesn't have a stronger voice than anybody else. And in a corporation, it's all about stock value. And a cooperative, it's about collective social good. It's what's good for all of us. And it's interesting. Maybe we can turn the next. So, in 2017, we'll get there, Howard, eight people had as much wealth as half the world's population. It's an astonishing number. You could take a van, drive it up to the front here, have 8 people get in, and you could take half the world, 3.6 billion people don't have as much money as 8 people. And we talk about what's happening in the uprising in certain countries and everything else. That can't continue. It's just interesting. 2 years ago, it was 48 people. Now it's 8 people. And it's getting worse. So in the last 2 years, 88% of all the increase in wealth went to the top 1% of people. You know, they say the world's doing good and the economy's good. Everybody's not doing good. Matter of fact, most people are not doing good. The very top is doing good. But co-ops excel at creating and sustaining jobs, strengthening local community, and they empower people. I mean, it's so important. But we wanted to make a little survey, understand what do people know about cooperatives. And was interesting, and it doesn't surprise, I don't think it surprised anybody in this room, that 74% of the people had no idea what it is. The only thing they heard of was maybe a local food co-op or something like that. 15% had some, in fact, some of the things that people said, what a cooperative was, we had people say it was Amazon, Bank of America. I mean, it was interesting. I didn't sleep for months, let me tell you. And then it was interesting, we did a survey of 1,500 people across the United States. We had 20 people said it was a secret society. So you should be proud you're in a secret society. I mean, it shocked me, you know, but we know one thing, awareness made a difference. So when we told people what a cooperative was, it was interesting. 78% of people said once they found out what it was, it would change their behavior of where they would shop or where they would do business or how they would think about things. And the survey companies said they never saw, they've seen lifts of 10%, 20%. That's over 3 out of every 4 people said it would change what I do in life if I knew I was doing business with a cooperative. So there's enormous opportunity, enormous opportunity. So what about if we came together? Now, there's a video, if we can, I think there's a video in there, if we can. Well, I can skip it. I'm flexible. If it's in there, it's in there. If it's not, you tell me, I'll get my cowboy uniform. It is. That's what's happening. Don't worry. If you can't, I'm not concerned. Yeah. Go to the next slide. That's all. If you can't, or I'll just tell you. So just to give you a round of what are all the different cooperatives. Electric utilities. You know, it's interesting. The utility cooperatives, they're owned by the members, power 56% of the nation's geography. 56% are powered by cooperatives. Grocery and food, over 250 million of food co-ops do. Financial services, 1 out of every 3 people in America is a member of a credit union. 110 million. How many people here are a member of credit unions? That's great. Proud of you. I mean, it's interesting. Purchasing co-ops, Ace Hardware. People don't realize, you know, Ace Hardware is 6,000. We are in the group that's purchasing co-ops. That's what Innovia is, purchasing co-op. It's businesses getting together, companies getting together to provide scale to give them the same options as large international companies. And we provide that, only they're locally run by the family businesses that they should be run. And then there's worker co-ops. So worker co-ops are very big in Europe, but now they're starting to be here. There are over 500 worker co-ops in the United States and increasing rapidly. But I want to tell you one of the better stories that I know of how when people say to me, "What do you do?" I'm back to my cowboy. That's what I want to tell them. I'm going to tell them I'm a cowboy if people say to me what I do. But a lot of people still, when I talk to them, they say, "I'm in the world of co-op." They do not understand. And there's a wonderful worker cooperative in California called Prospera. And Prospera is I think one of the best stories are. You know, it's immigrant women that came over from mostly Central America. They didn't have many skill sets, and they became either home care workers or homemakers, taking care of people's homes and cleaning. And when they came over, they were making $19,000 to $20,000 a year in California, which is poverty. You could not live, first of all, even anywhere, but in California, you could not live. And they formed a cooperative called Prospera. And what Prospera did is, so before they were being placed by companies and said, you know, go here and take care of this person, or go here and clean. And that was the $19,000, $20,000 a year. The minute they found their own cooperative called Prospera, and a manager placed them, but it was owned by them, their salaries went up in 1 year from $20,000 to $42,000. That's the power of a cooperative. You know, you want to tell what the power of a cooperative is? That's the power. That's the amazing strength that a cooperative can do. And there are so many stories like that. So many wonderful stories in each sector, how cooperatives empower people. And I call it, what's happening in America today, and actually throughout the world, is the extraction economy. And it was in your business as well as anywhere else. And the extraction economy is when people are taking out disproportionate of what they do for things. People that owned the manufactured housing community land, they were extracting disproportionate amount of wealth from that community to what they were doing and what they were offering. People that were in the home care industry. The home care industry is 4.5 million workers. Most of them are making, the average worker in home care is $11 an hour. The agencies that are placing them are charging $29 to $30 an hour. They're extracting $19 an hour. They're not putting $19 worth of value in. And so many times, and that's why worker cooperatives in home care industries, so there's a large worker cooperative in New York City that has 7,000 workers that own their own business. And so much of what we do is the reverse of the extraction economy. It's putting the money back into the people that deserve it. It gives you empowerment. I think what ROC is doing is just that. You are empowered. You own your community. You own your land. It's not somebody that has no control, and you have no control of what happens in the future. And so many parts of our business, and that's why I think the co-op model can be such a model for the future. It's not a model for the past. It's a future. I've been very fortunate, actually, to be on the board of this university, Southern New Hampshire University. And we had a retreat at the Institute of the Future in Palo Alto, California. And the Institute of the Future is not just where things are going 30, 20 years from now, but sort of 5, 10, 15, and 30 years from now. And when I was sitting at the retreat, our board was there, and the head of the Institute of the Future turned to me, and apparently looked up the background of the people, and he turned to me and he said, "Howard, what you do is where the future is going to be." He said, because this top-down is going away. The idea of the big company, the Bank of America, and it's all here, and you find, he said, that is going away. We're going to live in what we call a distributed economy, where it's going to be local, owned by regional, local, distributed. He said, it's what co-ops are and what co-ops do. And we've had talks with them since then. So the model, what you have, is not a model, it's a futuristic model. And you have such opportunity and growth. I mean, I'm amazed at what Paul has done and where you are already, but you are, I believe, just at the beginning. You know, just when we were 3 years in and 5 years in, and we looked and said, we didn't even know where the future was going to be. because when you're doing something that's right and you're doing something that's good, there's an unlimited future. You know, the wind is at your back when you're doing the right thing. And, you know, all you look now today in companies, when you do the wrong thing, it's coming down on everybody. And so our collective voice, you know, there's over 40,000 cooperatives in America. And in the world, there's 1 billion members of cooperatives in the world. Just think about that. Almost 1 out of every 6 people in the world is a member of a cooperative. That's an astonishing number. 100 million people are employed by cooperatives. And half the world's population secures their food and livelihood through a cooperative. I mean, those are astonishing numbers. You know, I happened to be at a meeting with the International Cooperative Alliance, and I was sitting next to a gentleman from India. And in India, they're very large farmer cooperatives. And I said to him, you know, how many members in your cooperative? And he turned to me and he said, 45 million. I was like, I thought I heard wrong. I thought I had wax in my ear. You know, and I said, how many? 45 million members. But the success of cooperatives in every country. I was in Argentina, and Argentina has a healthcare cooperative. So we talk about all the problems we have in our country with healthcare. So their healthcare cooperative, if you buy health insurance in the open market in Argentina, it's $800 a month. The same coverage, the identical coverage by a cooperative in Argentina is $175 a month. I mean, and they insure 1 of every 4 people in Argentina. So you talk about the power. Cooperatives in every sector have power to do good, empower people, create wealth, create opportunity. It is a wonderful, and so we have created Cooperatives for a Better World. And what is that? It's a nonprofit tying in all cooperatives together in this country and around the world, because we are strong individually, but we are stronger together. And we want to take and engage all the employees first in this country, 2 million employees in the United States alone, 130 million members of cooperatives in the United States. You imagine if we get them together and then capture the public, and we're going to build co-op communities. And what is a co-op community? We're going to have 220 communities throughout the country. Every single area of the United States is going to be covered by a co-op community. And this right here just shows you in Denver. In Colorado, it's interesting, there are 349 individual types of co-ops. There's over 1,100 locations, and there's 1.8 million members just in the region of the big major Denver, Boulder, Colorado Springs region. Nobody would ever think that. But what is the power in bringing us all together? Well, I can tell you, first of all, there are going to be offers for every member of a cooperative. If you're in ROC and you go into an Ace Hardware store, you're going to get a discount. You go into your vet, there's 3,000 veterinarians that are part of a cooperative. You go into your local vet, you'll get a discount. You go into your pet store that's part of a cooperative, there are 1,000 pet stores that are part of a cooperative. You go into a bike store and a Carpet One store, a furniture store that's part of a cooperative, you're going to get a discount personally. For ROC USA, together, we're going to have more scale. Look, we've had large scale, ROC has scale, and Novi has scale, but together, we have more scale than any of us can have individually. We have power together. And I can tell you some things like waste management and plowing, and those are local things. There's scale locally. So when we talk in Denver, but that's true going to be in New Hampshire, when you get 1,000 locations together, you can do things that you can't do individually. We think there's enormous saving and enormous power of what we can do. So there's just enormous opportunity of what we can do together. And I always use things that it takes each of us to make a better life for all of us. And I think you should be so excited and proud. You know, the one thing I would say that people are members of cooperatives, you should be proud that you're a member, because you're not part of the extraction economy, you're part of the giving economy. You're part of putting things back in, not taking out. And I'm proud to be part of it. I'm proud to know Paul and ROC and to be here with you today. And I think you have an outstanding future, and thank you very much.